Hey artists, welcome back to Art at Home. So glad you're with me today because we're going to cover a topic that I find really interesting because it's really close to what I do, and that is illustrating poems, which can be a tricky thing to do, but I've got a few steps that I'm going to share with you that can make it feel much easier and really be such a good time. All right, here we go. So today I'm going to be creating an illustration for a poem that I love, The Pasture by Robert Frost. And this process is a little tricky because no one's asking me to draw something really specific. It's up to me as the illustrator to figure out what I'm creating. And the tricky part about a poem is the author has put so much work into refining their words and getting just the right message that I don't want to mess that up. When I think about an illustration for a poem, the illustration isn't going to deliver the message of the poem. The poet's already done that. The illustration has to walk hand in hand down the road with the poem. I need to make sure my illustration is not walking in the other direction. So when I'm looking to illustrate a poem, the first thing you should do whenever you have a poem is read it multiple times. And I have read this poem a few times over and over again, so I'm going to skip that step, but I'm going to assume that you're taking it. You got to read it over and over again. Now I'm going to go through and start picking out a couple of specific things. I pulled out a few markers so that I can mark this up to help me make some decisions. So first of all, I'm going to go ahead and just highlight the title. Very often we'll be delivering clues as to what the poem is all about, so I'm making sure that I'm walking in the same direction as the poem. The next thing that I'm going to do when I read it is I am going to look for words or lines that are repeating over and over again. I know if they're showing up, that's on purpose, and the author has made a real choice there, and I need to go along with them. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and read the poem. I'm going out to clean the pasture spring. I'll only stop to rake the leaves away. And wait to watch the water clear, I may. I shan't be gone long. You come too. I'm going out to fetch the little calf that's standing by the mother. It's so young, it totters when she licks it with her tongue. I shan't be gone long. You come too. I love this poem. And I did notice right away the last line of each stanza repeats, I shan't be gone long, you come too. And I think that line is what I love about this poem. You come too. It's an invitation. I love that. You know, within the story is a farmer speaking to somebody, maybe a child, maybe a friend. But I think of it as the author, Robert Frost, is inviting us to come into the world of his poem. So I'm going to put a little star next to that. I feel like that's important. The other thing I do is while I'm reading it over and over again in my head, I'm thinking about the imagery of the poem. What pictures is the poet putting into my head? And obviously, the pasture, changing marker colors, the pasture is important. It's in the title. Maybe watching the water clear could be. I definitely got a clear picture of that in my head. The calf and the mother. To me, these are the main images that were going through my mind as I read this poem over again, and these are probably some of the images that I could work into my illustration. Now I'm going to start sketching out my ideas. So one thing I like to do when I'm sketching is I imagine a whole piece of paper, because I know that I have to fit the text of the poem on there too. So maybe I'll just draw a box where the text might be up at the top here, leaving me this space to create my illustration. And I'm just thinking about the imagery, the pasture. My sketches are always rough and loose, and they're just giving me the idea of what this could look like. And maybe that you come to, so maybe I'll have a farmer going out. Got a bucket. Maybe doing some milking. And then maybe being followed by a child. And so really simple, I'm just doing stick figure drawings here, but it helps me get an idea of what I could draw. I kind of like this, I might go with something like this. I'm gonna try something with the cows too. Maybe I'm gonna try the same composition, which is just my page design. Even the same like ground. Maybe instead of the farmer and child, I could do the cow and child. I would definitely need to look at how to draw a cow. I have not drawn a lot of cows in my time. But I'm making sure I have a big one and a little one for the mother and the calf. I kind of like that idea too. I do want to try, remember, we're always doing that try it 3 ways. I'm going to make sure I try it at least one more way. Truth be told, guys, I usually try dozens of ways. I like this idea of the pasture. Imagine that I'm holding my paper the wide way this time. Maybe the poem could be 1 stanza, 2 stanzas, like that, giving me more space to work. And I wonder if I can incorporate these 2 ideas together. Maybe I have the cow here, the mother cow, and the little calf. Really need to look up how to draw cows if I'm going to do this. Then maybe the farmer is just coming up the hill. And maybe we see a little indication of somebody going with him. I like this idea because I think it really plays up that idea of you come too. So we've got the 2 cows together and the farmer and the child. I think I'm going to try and illustrate this idea. All right, here I go. You come too. All right, so I've decided on the imagery of my poem. I've even done a little bit of sketching, figuring out how to draw cows. But there are still some questions that I need to figure out. I need to make some decisions about how I'm going to make this, what tools am I going to use, and what colors am I going to use. And I really need to think about the poem and how it makes me feel at this point. And like, if it's a playful poem, I'm going to use bright colors. I might draw it in a cartoony way. But this poem isn't that. This poem is calm and quiet and inviting. The pasture setting makes me think of an earlier time. Not that there aren't farms today, but this poem takes me back. And so I'm not going to use those bright colors. I think today I'm going to illustrate this poem in black and white. And maybe I'll use a brush or a brush pen to try and get kind of a soft quality, something that feels handmade. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So things to consider. What tools are you going to use? Do they help your illustration walk hand in hand down the street with your poem? Or are they taking your illustration in the other direction? Really important stuff. So at this point, I've got my sketches next to me. Actually, I'll keep those there so I can keep referring to them. And my poem that I'm illustrating is here. And I'm just going to start working lightly so that if I have to erase and make changes, it's easy to do. See how many lines I'm making. I'm not concerning myself with getting this right. I know I can always go back and clean it up. Just want to get these ideas down. I usually think there are no right lines in my drawings, but the collection of lines together makes something that works. There is my illustration for the pasture. I tried to create an illustration that just fit the mood and tone and applied some of the imagery that Robert Frost was using, making sure that my illustration was walking in the same direction as the poem. All right, guys, have fun with yours. I mean, these can be as varied as the poems that they are illustrating, so have fun with this, enjoy, and yeah, and just keep my tips in mind. I think they're really helpful.